it on. Liquid lips, let it ride from the first good sip to the last call night. Ain't about the label, ain't about the price. It's about good folks and a damn good time. Yeah, we talk straight, we live loud. Big Bourbon Club got the whole damn crowd. If you're tuned in, you're one of us. Big Bourbon Club, go liquid the lip.
Hello, it's Wednesday. It's Liquid to Lips. I'm Andy Joe, and I'm with Big Bourbon Club, and I'm here with Paul Tomaszewski with MB Roland Distillery. So we're excited. This is our monthly virtual digital event that we have, and we always have some really cool, interesting people on, and I'm really excited about this one. I'm excited about this because I don't know all the things about it, but it's got a really interesting story. So Paul, thanks for being here. We're so excited to have you. Usually you have your wife with you. Is that right?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes. So she, I know she's on another event, but we're really excited about MB, Roland. And we actually were connected through Chris, who is in our group, Chris Tobin, and we were just ecstatic that you decided to jump in on it with us. So usually how this works, if those of us that haven't been here, I'll kind of give you. Big Bourbon Club is a national bourbon club, and we have events usually in the Louisville and Southern Indiana area, but we like to learn and to partner with other distilleries from all over the place, and really. Like we've talked about bitters, we've talked about cocktails, we've talked about distilleries, and we just like to kind of spread the word through digital media here. So today like I said, we're with Paul. And Paul, before we get into your whiskey, because I've already got into your bourbons, if you can tell, I just want to learn a little more about you and your wife and your journey here, if that's okay. My first big question for you is, I always like to start with the name of your distillery, MB Roland. Can you kind of talk through what that process was like when you guys started, how you named it, and kind of where your history is from the beginning?
Yeah, no problem. Well, we were kind of early to the game. We opened in 2009, kind of started getting the business going in 2008. So it's been about 18 years for us. And, you know, the word or the term craft distillery back then didn't even exist. So it was more of we're going to be a distillery, and there were the big boys here in Kentucky, a few other crafts. But one thing that, you know, you continue to see and continue to kind of being reinforced is the difficulty of making whiskey. And we always wanted to make it, not source it or blend it or buy barrels that would be, you know, changed out with our own product later on. So, and kind of our model with the whole business was we did not want to try to grab some other snapshot in history and base the business off of that. We wanted it to be legitimately kind of representative of we're the first generation. So I lost the naming competition because our last name is not a whiskey last name. Maybe we should have tried to make that happen. Everyone remember the name a lot easier. I don't know, but
I don't think that's true.
I told Mary Beth that MB Roland sounds like a whiskey, and she has local ties to the area that she's from, this area where we are, and it made a lot of sense, and it makes a lot of sense now looking back, just because we've done the business together. So it having her name is very representative, but we've done everything hand in hand together as far as over the 18 years. And really our focus was always just making whiskey as opposed to just trying to have a bottle with our name on it, even though it kind of has our name on it.
And was she a Roland when you started this, or were you guys already married?
We were already married. Yeah, we met. We're over near Fort Campbell, if you know where our part of Kentucky is, Western Kentucky. We're Christian County, kind of straddling the state line, and I got here through Fort Campbell, as many of the people in the area do that are not locals. and met her, and the rest is history, as they say. But it
Still
was
making
always
history. Yeah.
right. I guess so.
Yeah.
But we're we were very just kind of simple as far as the way we got the business going, and when we wanted to name it, we wanted it to make sense, as opposed to just grab someone from some kind of local history that maybe has something to do with whiskey. But
I think it's cool. I love heritage too, and I think history is cool. And I think that too, it's something special about having something named that your grandkids can name after. No, it's named after their grandma someday. So I think that's pretty cool. Okay, so 2009, that's a long time ago in whiskey world. That was really before the big craft bourbon boom, like really before it. What at that beginning stages when you told people like, hey, I'm going to start this distillery in Kentucky, and what was the feedback from people? What were you guys kind of thinking? Were you even telling anybody? And how did that go? Because that was a big risk in 2009, as far as I think, as far as craft goes.
yeah, it was a lot different back then. I mean, just to give you an example, we had to bottle our first batch of bourbon in wine bottles because we couldn't buy spirits bottles by the pallet. You could only buy them by the truckload.
Mm-hmm.
But frankly, the people that were kind of in the local area and that we were working with or talking to, a lot of them didn't even know what a distillery was, or they thought it was a brewery, just because that's the natural tendency for microbreweries as opposed to distilleries at that time. And so it wasn't until we really got open and, there was a certain amount of local press, because it was one of the first craft distilleries. And then not just in Kentucky, in the region. That's why we're in Kentucky, because we lived barely over the state line. Our backyard was a state line, but we lived on the Tennessee side. And at that time, you could only distill alcohol, as far as getting a distiller's permit, in Lincoln, Coffee, or Moore counties in Tennessee. They've since changed that, obviously, but that was a major barrier for us. And when we looked at Kentucky, it was just a lot more agreeable for the sake of the laws and, frankly, the community, because we talked to Christian County and they were very receptive towards everything, even though half of them thought we were being a brewery instead.
They're like, what is this? You're making alcohol, must be beer. Yeah. I'm sure. I think that's crazy. And the fact that you really dedicated your brand to be grain to glass and not sourced. I mean, like, now you have that option, and I don't really know in 2009 what the options were, if everybody was doing that. I haven't looked that far back into what that looked like, but I mean, that commitment is a time commitment as well, right? So if you started in 2009, when were you bottling? I mean, how long were you waiting to make your own stuff and for it to age and all of that? Were you doing whiskey and bourbon? Were you just doing bourbon, or how'd that kind of go?
Well, we had a lot of non-whiskey products. We call them our unaged products. So, we've got some essentially naturally flavored, almost like an RTD. That's a pink lemonade and apple pie. One that's cinnamon and cayenne. It's pretty popular, St. Elmo's Fire. But those types of products. And we sold the unaged White Dog and Black Dog. Well, I say Black Dog, that's our dark fired mash. And we started to put out a few bottles, kind of trickling out as we were pulling stuff, just because we really liked the direction it was going within the first year. But we really didn't start bottling a lot of bourbon, or a regular amount where if you came to visit us, we had it, until, that closer to 4-year mark.
Mm-hmm.
We started aging in primarily 25-gallon barrels early on. We've always done some 53s, and now we pretty much are exclusively 53s. The only 25s we really have in inventory or that we fill now are refills. So it'd be like a second fill for a corn whiskey or other type of product that's not a bourbon or a rye. But in 25-gallon barrel, really the biggest difference on the aging is you're having those temperatures move up and down more so each day, each week, each season. So it's not really the size of the barrel or really surface area. That's not really what goes on, in my opinion. It's more the physics of the fact that that mass of liquid is going to adjust more on a daily basis. So you can get some pretty good 2-year-old, 25-year-old gallon whiskey or bourbon, but it still likes to be 4 years or more, just like the 53s in my, from the stuff we bottle now.
Okay. So you don't have, so what's the highest age stuff that you have that you're bottling now? I guess oldest age would be the best way to say it.
We have stuff that's in the 8 and 9 year world. It's usually put out as single barrels or like a very small blend, and it, as you might expect, goes quick. It doesn't really last that long. So
No, I'm
we'll
sure
probably,
not.
yeah, we'll put some stuff out like that in the next month or two. And if folks sign up for our newsletter, that's the easiest way to stay on top of that, and that way you can know when it comes out. And usually, like I said, it lasts, some of this stuff a few days, not super long. But our stuff is kind of different. It doesn't necessarily want to be 15 years old. And frankly, just looking at the way bourbon really ages and how it's aged historically, 15 years old is more of a modern day affair when it comes to bourbon, because you've got these very large warehouses that create a microclimate effect. So it slows down those interior barrels that are on the lower middle portions. We've got one warehouse that has a few thousand barrels in it, and it's built to actually move that air with some large doors and we're kind of on top of a plateau, so we get a lot of wind and just airflow, which is good for moving that air so that it cycles on a daily basis. But what happens is we don't have quite that microclimate effect, so our whiskey really hits the mark in the color and the flavor at 4 or 5 years old on a lot of stuff. And not every barrel is one that needs to go to 10, 15 years old. In fact, for us, our angel share loss is representative as well. Color, flavor, our stuff, when it gets the 8, 9, 10 year mark, you may not want to let it keep going. And frankly, that's the way it is with a lot of older barrels. Not every barrel needs to be that old, but sure. As far as regular bottlings, you'll find stuff up to 7 years old in our different batches and blends. But generally speaking, that much, 7, 8, 9 years stuff you're going to buy as a special bottling.
And then when I was kind of researching a little bit about your brand, your distillery, I was seeing a lot of mention about pre-prohibition. So like, I don't know tons about pre-prohibition, and I know that you guys like that. It's a different style. All the vets in the chat might get me on this one because I don't know all the details about what that means. But can you go over like why that's important and what that really is, like with that pre-prohibition style?
Right. Yeah. That's actually going back to 2008 when we started the business and we were getting ready to start working on the property. The goal was always to make kind of that whiskey that was lost to history. So to kind of explain prohibition and layer it in a way with distilleries so everyone can follow along, I like to explain that when they passed it, there were 2,000 distilleries in the country, kind of like there are now in that neighborhood. And when prohibition took effect, you had 6 medicinal licenses remaining. These were all very large distilleries, industrial-sized distilleries. And there's different reasons why it happened that way. But basically, we killed every small and medium-sized distiller, any distiller that was using some unique grain, making their own barrels, wood-fired barrels, pot distillation, lower barrel entry proof, a lot of different things that had changed, not just because of prohibition, but because of the after effects. And I even tell people, like, think of prohibition, it's not from 1920 to 33. It's actually really from 20 to 46, because you'd had just a few years there from 33 to the late 30s with World War II kicking off, and most distillers were doing industrial alcohol. So we went through this long period of time where whiskey was not really produced in a large amount. And so there was not a lot of inventory. So there was a lot of motivation to change the barrel entry proof, move it up. So then that way we can have more whiskey on the back end, but that changes the way the stuff ages.
Right.
Going back to our stuff hits the market 4 and 5, and the color of our stuff is just always, you know, darker for its age. That lower barrel entry proof, we go in at around 105, and that lower barrel entry proof actually interacts with the wood sugars a lot better than a higher proof. And then also you don't have any, you basically have no real way of having tannin extraction at 105 proof as well. So it's a little bit of a different mindset is the way to put it, but the kind of points that I consider pre-prohibition, or that is very specific to how we kind of created our products, or trying to recreate those products how they were done back in the day, is ours is white corn based. We use food grade white corn, and I point to E.H. Taylor, the guy that was the quarterback for the Bottled and Bond Act of 1897, and really kind of obviously still around as a name, but as a person, he did a lot for the industry in his time. But he was doing white corn pot distilled bourbon when he was making whiskey in Frankfurt in the later 1800s, early 1900s. And also wood-fired barrels. We use Kelvin barrels. Everyone else uses independent stave, or almost everyone, and they're good product, good barrels, but they're gas-fired. And just like when you're cooking, it does kind of make a difference if you're cooking with wood versus gas.
Sure.
Or charring the barrel, essentially, same concept.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing too is the pot distillation, and you get some interesting flavors with pot distillation. The way to think about it is you got a column that you run your mash and everything, your beer through in a real short time, in a few minutes, and you produce your white dog, and out the other end comes your water and your grain and whatnot. Pot distillation, we're putting it all in that pot. Now, when I say pot distillation, as someone that makes it the way we do, the stripping run on your pot is really what's going to create that flavor. If you run it through a column, then finish it in a pot, it's pretty much the same thing as doubling it with a doubler. Yeah, you can do your heads and tails cuts. That's great. But the flavor and the viscosity, the mouthfeel that you get from pot distillation is on that stripping run, where that stuff is cooking for 6 to 8 hours, kind of low and slow, developing those other flavors. And so with the pot distillation and the white corn, you get this very interesting kind of white dog, or flavor in our white dog, that I haven't tasted really in anyone else's. Even the smell of our mash cooking it smells more like a kitchen, because it's grits corn. It is literally grits corn. So it has just this nice, sweet, pleasant aroma when we mash, particularly.
Would you say that's like your signature? Like that is kind of the pot distillation, and the white corn is kind of like what gives that MB Roland, bourbon, its kind of signature, like space in the bourbon industry, like that taste and that flavor. I know that you guys are just doing some different stuff, and it's got to have something that it's affecting it in a way that makes it so much more distinct than everything else. Would you say it's that pot distilling, or the corn, or a combo, or?
I say it's the combination of the pot distilling and the corn. Yeah, the pot distillation and the corn are the two biggest pieces, and of course that's the foundation. But you get in the finished product after it's aged in a barrel, with a lot of our juice, in particular like our bourbon and our rye, you get what I call the dark fruit flavor profile, your fig states, raisins, and prunes that are kind of, you get all your bourbon flavor too, don't get me wrong, but like it's, sure, you don't get a flavor profile like ours in any other bourbon. I have yet to taste any that has that kind of definitive figgy kind of, flavor up front. And the funny part is I've had multiple people over the years. I've tried some pre-prohibition juice that was pot distilled as well, but I've had multiple people over the years. They'll try our bourbon, and then they'll email me, or they'll tell me in person. If it's in person, they'll say, I've got a few bottles of a collection of pre-prohibition juice, and your stuff tastes the most like it, like anything I've had as far as modern distillate. So I feel like we're doing something right when we get feedback like that, because there's just not a lot out there to compare it to. There's a few things, but not a lot.
It's really special. Let's start getting into it. Like, so you sent me a couple things. I know everybody, I love being the host. I get all the samples, which is really fun. So I have the Old Second District Bottled and Bond, and this is the bourbon, but it's batch 107. So I know that we'll get into these. Yeah. But if you're saying that somebody's coming in and they're looking for, let's say, your core lineup, do you carry all the time? What does that look like? I'm on your website kind of looking. First thing that came up was a Kentucky Azul, which is, I'm not allowed to talk about that. I always get in trouble when I talk about tequila, because I love tequila when I get on the podcast. So we'll talk about that later. But for your whiskey, kind of your core lineup, what do you always have when someone comes into the distillery?
Well, I'll answer it this way. We've got a few things. Let me look behind me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
A few.
16, 17.
A couple dozen. Keep counting.
24 bottles on the tasting bar.
Oh my gosh. We should have made this 3 hours. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, I mean, half of them are the unaged roughly half of them are the unaged products, but half or more are bourbon, or we've got a couple brandies that we do every now and then with a local vintner. But we do enough brandy to remind us why we are not a brandy distillery. But,
I love brandy. I'm a cocktail girl. I love flavor meshing. I think that's why I love finishes so much. And so when people start talking about brandy, I start getting real excited. But we'll wait on that.
Well, the two I sent you are actually both kind of something we have pretty much all the time, and also that I probably sip on the most personally. I just really like both of these a lot. Old Second District, of course, is bottled and bond, and the interesting thing with these two whiskeys is it's the exact same juice. It's the same mash bill, 78% white corn, 17% rye, 5% malt. But they taste different because they're, put together a little bit differently. The bottled and bond, of course, is cut to 100 proof. It has a little bit of a different flavor profile.
Smells really sweet.
They're both sweet, but that one is I think a hair sweeter. We call it OSD for Old Second District.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole naming of this one goes back to pre-prohibition, when you had your tax districts in Kentucky. I'll show you a fun little picture there that shows you the second district was Western Kentucky primarily.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
And this one is just so easy to sip. It's got like that definitive MB Roland flavor.
Yeah.
Most of our stuff's barrel proof, and this is one of the few things that's not. And
yeah, this is great. I mean, this is me trying it for the first time, and I can't tell everyone, like, I'm still a little baby bourbon learner. I think I'll always be. I love learning about it, and there's always something new you're never learning. But I think it smells very sweet. It's initially when you smell it, you want to drink it because it smells so good. And it's really easy. It was a really nice mouthfeel. It was really easy. It didn't burn on the way down for 100 proof, especially. It was really, really nice. Really kind of caramely, a little creamy. Super good.
You get the viscosity on this one just like the others, but this one being 100 proof, it's a hair lighter on the palate, but compared to most other bourbons, it's still pretty heavy. But for this is kind of I call it our most kind of approachable, cocktail friendly bourbon, kind of balanced. You can do a lot of things with it. I still sip it neat 98% of the time. The other 2%, I make an old fashioned or maybe a Manhattan, but solid bourbon. I love it to death. Makes a real good bread pudding sauce.
Talk to me about that. I love dessert.
I'll give you my mom's recipe, and I am from the New Orleans area, and my mom is a pretty serious cook. But it's real simple. It's 1/3 whiskey or bourbon in this case, and butter and sugar, and nothing else. Don't add anything else to it.
For the sauce, huh?
Yeah, the sauce is what makes it, just like anything else.
Sounds like you should be bottling that, selling it in there, Mama's bread pudding sauce or something like that.
Yep.
So this is great. This really feels like a cool conversation bottle you can get out, have it on your bar, in your home bar, and everyone's going to try it and they're going to find something they love about it. It's really nice if you guys haven't had it. And I've had stuff that's really heavy here too when I've done these, but this is really, really nice. I really like it. I'm glad that I have some more. I am going to say that. So this one is this the one where you're kind of like when people come in and they've never been here before and they try it, and this is the one you're like, try this one. This is a good fit for kind of everybody and have them start here.
Yeah.
Cool. That's great. Okay. So what else you got?
Well, this one's moving up to the next level because it's barrel proof, and it's got kind of an interesting flavor profile. But this is our flagship bourbon. Here's the label for it. If you're on the website, it should say Flagship. I think we got all that fixed, but it doesn't say it on the label. That's why I'm pointing it out. It's the tan label, but it's my favorite product that we make. Probably the one I sip on the most year round, especially when it gets, cooler outside. But this batch in particular is fantastic. I keep saying that this batch is the best one, but this one beat my last best one. I didn't blend it. I'm not saying I blend. I mean the flavor of it. But the
107 is that what we're looking at?
What's that? Batch
Which
107.
one?
Yeah, the one you have. This one is going to be just the most crazy awesome cigar whiskey you would ever want. I have yet to smoke a cigar with this that it's not amplified, but the thickness on this, the viscosity is there. The flavor, you're going to get a little bit more of a bouquet, if you will, of, some floral notes really tied up in there that is very interesting. But I always get kind of a fig upfront note on this guy, and it hangs out and stays in your mouth. You can take a small little sip and it'll live there for another few minutes or longer, potentially. That's why it's so great with the cigar.
You could just pour this straight on the bread pudding and you'd be just fine.
That's it. Yeah.
Put it right on there. Oh, they're asking. The people want to know, will you be at Kentucky Bourbon Fest? That's the third one I've seen. That's the third one.
Third what? Third question
about this. Yeah.
No, unfortunately, we will not be there this year, but maybe next year.
Okay, now everyone can settle down in the chat. Okay,
but
the distillery.
If you need a fun day trip, we have our tasting room in Cave City, which is right next door to Dueling Grounds tasting room. So you can kind of get a 2-for-1, and come see us if you're passing by. It's only an hour from Bardstown, so if you get sick and tired of waiting in line, there's no lines in Cave City.
There you go. Okay, so this batch 107. So I know that on the big bottle that you have, the batch number is printed on the label. So how many barrels is a batch? And like Chris just said, he has batch number 99. So like how often is the batch change, and how many barrels are in the batch? How does that typically work?
It's not a hard and fast rule, but I would say it's somewhere between a half a dozen to up to maybe 15 barrels is a typical batch for us. This one being kind of a regular product, obviously, one of our, more volume type of products compared to some of the others that we do. But I would say we're bottling a couple batches a year, plus or minus. It just depends on the year and the size, of course. If we're bottling a smaller versus larger batch, but there's a consistency to all of it as far as the flavor. You'll have a little bit of difference between one batch and another on flavor, but it's all the same juice, and it's the same whiskey.
Okay, so having the batch numbers do you have collectors? Do you have people that are trying to get them all? I'm sure.
I hope so.
Do you have them all? Do you have bottles of all of them? I'm sure you do. I always wonder, like, do these master distillers and these owners, do they have one of everything sitting around? I don't know.
Well, I got 24 bottles here, so I'd have a few bottles stashed away if it was for me.
Yeah.
When you add all the batches and single barrels up and whatnot, but we keep a couple pint bottles of a given batch for archive purposes, but unless we set aside something specifically, that's all we kind of hold on to, because some single barrels don't even see our property after
I
it's
bet.
bottled.
How popular is your single barrel program, and have you had any big, what are some big names that have picked some of your single barrels, or some cool stories you've had up there for that program? I know personally from going on single barrel picks that sometimes there's some wild stories out there. So you got anything fun to disclose? We won't tell anyone, I swear.
Well, we kind of pride ourselves on a really unique single barrel experience. We get a lot of high marks when people come out here because you're getting dealt with usually by myself and Gretchen. Gretchen's our lead taster blender, and maybe one or two other people depending. But it's quite an affair. It usually takes several hours because we throw a tour into it as well, and there's a few that let's just say I've never had any complaints on drinking too little. So we try to feed you a lot of water too while you're here. But our single barrels are very unique in that we specifically look for them to be unique. So when we do picks, whether it's here or if we send samples to someone, they're meant to all be different by design. And I'm trying to think. I haven't had any real celebrities do a pick.
Have you ever like had a single barrel opportunity and you tried it and you were like, oh no, I wish I wouldn't have let them try this. I want to bottle this one. I mean, like I can imagine, like, you try all these ones, but if you get some really special stuff and you don't want to let it, it's like your child, like, no, come back. I want you to stay home.
Well, I'll kind of explain it this way. And of course, this is 18 years in. I look at single barrels not as my children. I look at my batches as my children.
Okay.
Those are the ones I'm drinking and can drink all the time. A single barrel, to me, if I taste it and love it, I go, well, that is a fantastic, awesome, amazing bourbon or whiskey for a couple hundred bottles. Mm-hmm. And it's gone after that, Yeah. So I don't even taste every single barrel that we do or that's necessarily on the shelf or anything like that. I taste most of them, but I kind of look at them as the foster child.
They're like the cousin that comes and visits for a little bit. Glad to have you here. Not sad to see you leave. On to the next, huh?
Yep.
I love that. That's cool. We are just getting back into the single barrel program, so I always like to find out what the sweet spots are, what people that like to have big. Oh, somebody said, what's the parking situation at the distillery? Can you park an RV? Is there room for an RV?
We are RV friendly. We've got a pretty large overflow lot. In fact, we're a harvest host as well. So there's sometimes people staying overnight with that program, if you're familiar with it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we get buses and RVs. And every now and then we'll have an event with a few people too.
Yeah, I like that. Well, hey, so, okay, we talked about these two, and you have 24 bottles on your shelf. So what, other than these ones that I have, for those people that are going to order or go online or going to be it and want to know, can you kind of give me 2 or 3 more that you really kind of want to showcase, or any of them that you think like this one never gets enough attention and nobody ever buys it and you should be having it? What would you pull off that shelf?
The 2 I'll point out. Let me grab a couple right here. And
this chat is wild, you guys. What is going on in here? I have never seen such an active chat, because we got all these chat. We got Charlie at Bourbon and Balls in here. We got Chris Blankenship. He's always can't stop talking ever. We got Gillette just heckling everyone. This is a very chatty chat. I'm not used to that. Let's see what's going on over here. It's wild. So they're trying to pull the questions out. I can't keep up.
Well, both of these are on the website, and there's quite a few on our website, but one is this Pennsylvania bottling we did. It was a collaboration. Say that 3 times fast after.
Right. Yeah.
collaboration with
Pennsylvania. Is that what you
yeah,
said? Pennsylvania.
it was a collaboration with Liberty Pole Spirits out of Pennsylvania. And as far as we know, the first collaboration of a Pennsylvania rye, Kentucky bourbon, or blend of any type. We did 2 barrels for ours, one of theirs, one of ours, and then they did Kentucky, which is also on the website. That was their bottling. So if you buy that bottle, you're actually buying it from them, but it's still got our juice in it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But 2 completely different blends. Pennsylvania was ours, Kentucky is theirs. And ours is more, I would call it some sweet cinnamon going on there, versus theirs has more of that real funky kind of rye, interesting flavor of just, it's very different. Both of the blends very different. The other one, and this one is barrel proof, and once it's gone, it's gone. So I think we've got a few more bottles on the site. The other one that is a go-to is our corn whiskey right here. And corn whiskey does not get the appreciation it deserves. This is made with our white corn. It's aged in a used barrel, bourbon barrel, our bourbon barrels, but it has such a easy drinking kind of feel to it that I call it my final pour, not my first. And the reason is because if I start with it and keep sipping on it, eventually it starts going down too much like water. So the way I don't get in trouble with corn whiskey is it's kind of my cutoff drink. When I say it's time for corn whiskey, that's like last call.
Does like your wife know about that? He's like, oh no, he asked for the corn whiskey.
No.
Here we go. Or she's like, finally, we're leaving.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
What's her favorite?
Her favorite.
Was she a whiskey girl when you started, or was she
well, let me explain to you the first time I handed Mary Beth a glass of whiskey, what she did. She shot that whole thing back. So yes, she was a whiskey girl, but not sipping. Yeah. And so she had to learn.
Isn't that how we all started though? Okay. Like that's how it all started.
If you're from Robertson County, Tennessee, it's definitely how it started.
Okay. There you go. My girl. I can't wait to meet her.
Her favorite is probably our rye, our Kentucky straight rye. That's one of my favorites too. It's just, I kind of like drink it completely seasonally. I'll start sipping on rye in about a month, and then I'll keep having it a little bit here and there through the holidays and whatnot. But then once it turns warm, March, April, I almost don't ever touch it. It's just, our rye is kind of interesting in that it's that pre-prohibition pot distilled rye. It doesn't have the pepper. It's got more of an herbal mint kind of tea flavor, along with all the dark fruit flavors you get with the bourbon as well. But everyone who tries our rye, they say it's very, very different and not like anything else. And a lot of people that don't like the peppery type of ryes or that MGP flavor that is in most ryes, because it's mostly MGP. Ours couldn't be more different. So give it a try. If you're a bourbon drinker, it's great. If you're not a bourbon drinker, if you're a rye person, then it's great too. So that would probably be her favorite. The other one it might be on the website. I have to check. It goes in and out so often, I don't even keep track of it anymore. But our dark fired bourbon, and
somebody just asked about that. Yeah, what is? I don't know what dark fired means. So I know you talked briefly about it, but can you go over that first for us and what that is and why it's so different?
Yes, it is very unique. As far as I know, we're the only distillery in the world smoking corn or any type of treatment like that to corn. And there's a reason why, because it's not the same as dealing with malt. If someone is going to, put a flavor smoke to or kiln a malted barley. And I've done malted barley as well as obviously our corn, but it's a lot different. Corn, in our case, we're not trying to malt it. We're just trying to get that flavor in there. So we end up smoking it with hardwood. It's going to be a mix of hickory, oak, and maple. And it's smoked for about a week. 5-day minimum smoke is usually what it takes. And we relight it multiple times. But we'll smoke this corn with that hardwood the same way the local dark fire tobacco growers for years have done it in this area. And if you Google the black patch of Western Kentucky, well, it's really Kentucky, Tennessee, it's where we are. Distillery's kind of in the middle of that area, the black patch. And that's where this dark fire tobacco, a very specific type of tobacco, is grown, 90% of it within 100 miles of us right here. And it's used a lot in pipes as well as chewing tobacco and whatnot because of its very unique flavor. It's usually a flavoring type of tobacco. It's not done, all by itself as far as in a blend. But we kind of stole that process and learned it and did it with corn. And it came out with this very amazing, smoky, nice kind of, tan color on the corn because it's white, starts out white. So it turns to kind of like a nice coffee mocha color and or coffee with milk in it. But we will put about a third of that in the mash bill for the dark fired corn. You don't want 100% dark fired corn. It's going to be too much. But it ends up smelling when we cook the mash like biscuits and gravy. That's a breakfast. That's a morning. You don't want to miss breakfast if you're cooking.
Yeah, no kidding.
And it's just a very unique flavor. If you don't get, a lot of the scotches that are out there that have like a very smoky kind of character to them, they have that definitive peaty flavor if they're from, the islands or particularly Isla. And we don't get that kind of medicine-y kind of sea whatever notes. We are basically talking barbecue and bourbon is what this combination is. It's kind of, I tell people, if you're a fan of smoking cigars or a pipe or something like that and campfires, if you get a glass of dark fired bourbon and a cigar and you got the campfire smoke going, it's like a religious experience.
So how do we get our hands on it? I don't see it on the website. Do you do single barrels of it? We have so many questions now that you're like the only people that do it and we can't, is it like some secret society to be able to get some of this stuff or like, what's the deal?
Well, the easiest thing is to join our statesman program. And
everyone's on the website right now.
That is a one-time fee. Plus you get a bottle. It's a $200 fee, I think right now. I might be wrong. I'm sorry. I have a lot of numbers in my life. And you get a bottle, which, like one of these guys, and you get 15% off lifetime discount at that point. So if you come to the distillery or the Cave City tasting room, same concept, you'll get that discount. If you go online, you can get that discount and purchase that way. But you'll get a Statesman newsletter as well that'll send out information kind of ahead of time. So you'll know when a dark fired bourbon bottling is happening. Sometimes it goes on the website, sometimes it doesn't. It just depends on how big of a batch it is and frankly, how much we sell, the first few days, because a lot of times there's a run on that. But newsletter, Statesman program, that's the easy way. Of course, we got all the social media. Well, we don't have TikTok. We got the Instagram and the Facebook. And am I missing
Chris
that?
Tobin drinking it. He is rubbing it in the chat. This guy. Yeah, I told him I was going to put him on the screen and he can do the interview. If he's going to keep talking like that, he's going to get it.
Well, if everyone else is feeling bad because they're not drinking dark fired bourbon, I just want everyone to know I drink very little of that product because it is so precious to us. So I probably have two pours of a year of dark fired bourbon.
I was like, I don't think that's making anybody feel any better. I think it's making everyone feel like they need it right now.
They need it more.
How often do you release it?
A few times a year. And we'll be doing something again in the next few weeks or so. I mean, with the time of year being fall and holidays and whatnot.
Oh, but, Chris Tobin's getting hate in the chat. It's hilarious. I know. I'm like, now I feel like I'm going to sign up for Staves to be a Stavesman, and I'm going to I have a black market for this dark fired corn whiskey in the club specifically. If you guys don't get in, I'm going to get it faster than you guys. Maybe a contest, but it's so interesting. I just love, and all of us do, like really figuring out what makes you, what's different that you're doing that everybody's doing. There's something really special about bourbon, and that the process generally is the same. The ingredients generally are the same. How you treat all those ingredients can change, and the barrel is always different, and the product is always going to be affected by that. And so it's why I just think to me, I fell in love with the process and the unpredictability of it. And we were on a bourbon tasting one time with at Glens Creek, and he said, if your distillate isn't good, then the barrel's not going to help it. And it sounds like you guys have learned. I've always thought about that every time we've been. The reason why I say that is because we talk about different distilleries and different, master distillers and different processes, and learning that you guys are really from the beginning not relying on the barrel and making sure that distillate is really, really great, or that, that white dog is really great, is really cool. And well, this one is not white dog. Is this the dark dog you're talking about?
Which one?
That whatever the dark fired
mash. We call that distillate off the still Black Dog.
Black Dog. I was trying to remember what it was, but it's just cool that those processes are really, really interesting, and that's why we do what we're doing, which is awesome. But do you think as a craft distillery, 18 years as a craft distillery, starting it when it wasn't cool to be a craft distillery, to be honest, it was like, just what are you guys trying to figure it out? Do you see what has been the biggest change as far as the market goes and the booms from these bourbon collectors and all of that? Like, what is your kind of take with being in the industry for so long on how that stuff affects your business? Do you see any of that really helping you or hurting you? And, I don't know. It's just always so interesting. For every brand, it's a little bit different.
Well, I'll answer this way. I'm pretty plugged into a lot of people in this industry just because we've been at it for so long. So by default, we've met a lot of people, but just frankly, a lot of craft distillers in Kentucky that we've known for many years, because we all kind of grew up together, and the industry's gone through all these changes, whether it be the laws or the way the demands happen and the boom. And it fascinates me, some of the perceptions of that and how it's not the way I see it. But aside from that, there is a lot going on in the market. Quite a bit of it, most consumers have no involvement with. And it's that three-tiered system that there's a lot of movement going on, a lot of ripple effects from that. That's probably the biggest effect to everyone right now overall, as far as the biggest factor. That doesn't mean that it affects me the most or someone else the most, but everyone's getting touched by that. And otherwise, the bourbon boom or the bourbon connoisseur, here's how I'll explain it. When we opened in 2009 and people came in saying, what kind of beer do you make? What kind of wine do you make? If it was someone wanting to come in and they were wanting to sip on, taste spirits and buy bottles, obviously it would be most of the time men who are the ones that I'm the bourbon drinker.
Yeah.
And kind of like by the year, I just continue to see more couples as opposed to just the man. And then now, all the way to now, it's almost half and half of the amount of times the guy's the bourbon drinker, or he's standing, saying, oh, this is her thing. It is tied into our culture now in a way it was not even 10 years ago. And, it's kind of like the whole thing with craft breweries. it's not that the boom ever really went away. It's gone ups and downs and everything like that. It's a different mindset for the consumer. We're a small distillery. We're not trying to take over the world. And frankly, I don't know if I'd want to go down that road.
Yeah, I mean, you would lose some of that
everywhere.
personality and characteristic of what you guys are really doing that's really special, I think, sometimes.
But as far as like the product goes, the future is a lot of it is, of course, accessibility. People say, where can I get your stuff?
Yeah,
Or,
that's what somebody just asked. What states
Right.
do you guys distribute it in? Where are we
well,
at?
here's 18 years of experience giving you some advice. If you want to try a unique craft distilled product, try to buy it online at their site. You'll be supporting them directly,
That's a
and
good point. Yeah.
you'll also be able to have a conversation if something, if you can't get it to your door. But most of us small guys, it's not realistic. There's out of the 50 states in the country, 20 that are probably just not even a possibility for us because of whether it's a control state or the way that you have to operate in there in some cases. So the easiest way, you buy everything online. You go on Amazon, you'll buy ammunition online, everything you possibly think of. So if you want to buy something unique, in our case, 45 states we can ship to. If you're in those 5 states, South Dakota, Utah, whatever other one, sorry. But that's definitely the easiest way to do it. If you do buy from our website, I believe it's a $20 flat shipping fee. So if you buy 1-2 bottles, whatever, it's the same shipping. But that is kind of for those of us that are craft distillers and we're not in the world of scale and we're not in the world of the major money world that is a big part of this business. Buying it direct from us online, or just call the damn distillery and say, hey, I want to get your product. What's the easiest way? If they don't ship online, maybe they have a different way to do it. But otherwise, it's a real fun visit to come see us, give you an excuse to come try 24 different things.
Listen, I need like one reason to do that. So this is a great one. I'm looking at your website talking about ordering online. And yeah, you have some cool stuff. And I am going to take 2 minutes to talk about your agave spirit. Are we not calling it tequila because it's not made in Mexico? Is that why?
Yeah, it's an agave. It's not a tequila.
Right. Because it's not, but it's very similar, right?
It's made essentially the same way. It's agave that we buy from Jalisco, Mexico, and we ferment and distill it, and then we age it in our freshly dumped bourbon barrels. So one nice thing, if you are a bourbon or a whiskey distillery like us and you're using new charred oak barrels, is of course you have the used barrels.
Yeah, totally.
And the big difference between our really anything, whether it's the agave or the corn whiskey that's aged in a used barrel, we specifically will dump bourbon or whatever product, and then we'll tilt it back up while it's still got a little sloshing in there and fill it. And so that's Toast, our distillery cat, wanting to go outside.
I hear that.
But he the agave specifically, you get kind of this buttery kind of upfront butterscotch buttery kind of character that I haven't really gotten in any tequila. I feel like it's the fresh dumped barrel that really helped create that. Let me let him out because he's in charge, as we all know.
Clearly. Guys, if you're not on their website, I'm on their website right now. They have some cool stuff. In our Google Meet, we were talking about the military, and they have etched bottles with all the military branches that you can buy, not special order, which is really, really cool. They have all the shines. I'm really interested in this like Elmo Spire one. I love spicy stuff, so that sounds kind of cool. The etched bottles are cool. It's really interesting. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of stuff that I haven't seen really anywhere else that you guys are that you're doing. So it's really, really cool.
Another one online that we actually don't have in stock here right now is Barker's Mill. It's our other bottled and bond.
Okay.
And that one is weeded.
Oh, okay.
And it is very tasty. It is so solid. It's the best 5-year-old.
Add to cart.
Yeah, it's awesome. That one, a lot of times we run out of it, hence why we don't have it here. It's just we just didn't make as much of those barrels that long ago. We've upped that production a little bit, but it's still, we got rye in our bourbon because I'm from Louisiana. I need a little spice in my life.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I get that. So, all right. Anything else? We got a couple minutes. Is there anything that we missed? Anything you would want everyone to know about what you do, or where to find you, or what events you have going on, or anything like that? I always like to make sure I give you a minute if there's anything you want to talk about.
I'll just sign up for the newsletter or watch us on social media. But we have different things, events. If someone joins the Stavesman Club, we have 2 events a year here at the distillery. One in the spring, that's more of a social event. And then we do a barrel pick here, which might be really interesting this year. Let me put it to you that way.
When is that barrel?
That is, let me make sure I got it right. October.
Like tomorrow? Probably.
No, it's October. It's October. So if you want to come, I believe it's on the 10th.
10/10, huh?
Yeah.
It's like the most. I used to work in weddings. It was like 10/10/2020. I worked that year. It's like the most. We had like 6 weddings that day. It's the most popular wedding day of like the century.
In the middle of COVID.
Yeah, trust me. I'm shocked I survived that. But okay, so I think that's it. If anybody has any more questions, it's been really great to learn about what's really special about you guys. I am looking forward to meeting your wife as well. She sounds awesome. And I just think it's just really, really special to us and really cool for us to be able to see what other places are doing that weren't other distilleries that other people may not know about or whatever. But for you guys to be doing this for 18 years is wild, honestly. I mean, to be starting it so early and to be so dedicated to your process for so long, it's so awesome. So, Paul, I just want to say thanks. Big Bourbon loves you guys. Chris Tobin, big fat shout out for him. Everyone's going to be at his doorstep asking for all the things, all the bottles that we can't get that he has apparently. So I don't owe him one on that one, but we just really appreciate you and we'll hope to see you soon. And some of us, I know I'm putting you on my visit list for sure. So.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed it. If y'all have any questions, everyone's always welcome to email me, paul@mbroland.com. And if I don't respond, it's because it probably went to my junk or something like that. But you can also send stuff to unfiltered@mbroland.com. Call us, whatever. You're usually talking to me or Mary Beth or someone who's talking to us.
Yeah, which is cool. That's really cool. Hey, they said, would MB Roland host Big Bourbon Club in 2027? We're starting our event list. Can we put you on the list? We have bring
Sure.
out 25 of us and have a party.
Sure.
Love it. I love it. So, all right, cool. Well, thanks again, Paul, and we will see you soon.
Thank you much. Enjoyed it.